कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय राधा वल्लभ श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा Jaya Prahlad Narsimhadev, Prahlad Narsimhadev, Prahlad Narsimhadev, Prahlad Narsimhadev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री श्री गौरीताई की, श्री श्री राधा वल्लभ भगवान की, श्री 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 जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमा की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna. So our today's Śrīmad Bhāgavatam verse, part of Gajendra Gita, correct? Gajendra's prayers of Gajendra, Gajendra Gita. And today's verse is about different incarnation of Lord and their activities. If you read the obeisance that Gajendra is offering, so he is remembering different incarnations of Supreme Personality of Godhead, avatars, and what do they do when they descend here? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8. So this Canto 8 is also called as withdrawal of the cosmic creation. That's a broad chapter name, book name, book title. And obviously today's chapter is Gajendra's prayers of surrender. Gajendra, the king of elephants, in dangerous situation. So that was discussed in the previous chapter, which was the crisis of Gajendra. And today, in order to come out of the crisis, Gajendra started prayer. And already 12 prayers have been discussed, 11 prayers, and today is the 12th prayer. So verse number 12. So let us read word by word, and then we will read the full verse. Again, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, verse number 12. Namaha Shantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Gunadharmini Nirvishesha Samayaya Nirvana Namaha Jnanaganaya Cha. Okay, full verse. Namashantaya Ghoraya Namashantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Gunadharmini Muddaya Gunadharmini Nirvishesha Samayaya Nirvisheshaya Samayaya Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha Namah Shantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Gunadharmini Nirvishesha Samayaya Namo Gnana Ghanaya Cha Nama Shantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Gunadharmini Nirvisheshaya Samayaya Namo Gnana Ghanaya Cha Nama Shantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Gunadharmini Nirvisheshaya Samayaya Namo Gnana Ghandaya Cha Nirvisheshaya Samayaya Namo Gnanaya Ghanaya Cha Nama Shantaya Ghoraya Nirvisheshaya Samaya Shesha Samayaya Namo Gnana Ghanaya Cha. Word to word translation. Namaha, all obeisances. Shantaya, unto He who is above all material qualities and completely peaceful, or unto Vasudeva, the super soul in every living entity. Ghoraya, unto the fiery forms of the Lord, like Jamadagniya and Narsimhadev. Muddaya, the form of the Lord as an animal, such as the boar. Gunadharmini, who accept different qualities within the material world. Nirvisheshaya, who is without material qualities, being fully spiritual. Samyaya, Lord Buddha, the form of nirvana, wherein the material qualities stop. Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances. Gnana Ghanaya, who is knowledge, or the impersonal Brahman. Cha, also. Translation, translated by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Vasudeva, who is all pervading, to the Lord's fierce form as Lord Nrsimhadev, to the Lord's form as an animal, Lord Varahadev, to Lord Dattatreya, who preached impersonalism, to Lord Buddha, and to all other incarnations. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has no material qualities, but who accepts the three qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance within this material world. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Purport. In the previous verses, it has been described that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material form, He accepts innumerable forms in favor of His devotees and kills the demons. As stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there are so many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that are like the waves of a river. The waves of a river flow incessantly, and no one can count how many waves there are. Similarly, no one can calculate when and how the different incarnations of the Lord appear according to the necessity of time, place, and candidates. The Lord appears perpetually, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhuyatanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamiham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a prominent rise of religion, at that time I descend myself. In the material world, there is always the possibility of deviation from Krishna consciousness, and therefore Krishna and his devotees always act in various forms to curb such godliness. Even impersonalists who stress the knowledge feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead want to merge in the effulgence of the Lord. Therefore, here the word Jnana Ganaya indicates that for atheists who disbelieve in the form and existence of the Lord, all these various incarnations appear. Since the Lord comes to teach in so many forms, no one can say that there is no God. The word Jnana Gamaya is especially used here to refer to those whose knowledge has become solidified by the dint of their searching for the Lord through speculative philosophical understanding. Superficial knowledge is useless for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when one's knowledge becomes extremely intense and deep, one understands Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Surdulabaha. A Jnani attains this stage after many, many births. Therefore, the word Jnana Gamaya is used here. The word Shantaya indicates that Lord Vasudeva is situated in everyone's heart but does not act with the living entity. Impersonalist Jnanis realize Vasudeva when they are fully mature in knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Surdulabaha. Om Ajnana Trimindasya Jnananjala Salakaya Chaksurulmitamena Tasme Sri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapadaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namini Namaste Sursadevi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachata Desha Tarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for coming to the temple, especially being here to hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And we know that yesterday, many of you, or most of you, or all of you possibly, have done Nirjala Ekadashi. And I'm so looking forward for Prasada. Correct? So, and of course, after performing 24 hours of austerity, Nirjala, hopefully not thinking about water, not thinking about Prasada, but always doing Hare Krishna chanting. Some of the devotees who are doing Nirjala Ekadashis, I heard that they have done 64 rounds of chanting. So just like our Haridas Thakur was doing 168 rounds of chanting, but 64 round is a great accomplishment. 16 round itself is a great accomplishment for the kids. I think he may be doing more. So that is very nice, remembering Supreme Lord. And today's verse in particular, so it is, as part of this Gajendra Gita, Gajendra's prayer, he is mentioning about various incarnations of Supreme Lord who manifest in this earthly planet or in this material world for certain purpose, at certain time, for certain devotees' deliverance. So very nicely explained. And of course, the previous chapter is about the crisis that Gajendra has undergone. He is doing intense prayer. Often we start doing prayer when we are in great crisis, great difficulties, great danger. When things are going good, everything fine, maybe we are joyfully dancing, not so much remembering Lord, but in the mood of joyfully enjoying the world. But when the crisis comes, at that time obviously we try to remember someone higher than us. You might remember how nice it will be if my father or mother might protect me. Or you might remember Krishna, you might remember different devatas. We remember someone who can protect us. And this Gajendra, as you all know, Gajendra is the king of elephants. Those, I see some new faces, very briefly, to say the previous chapter summary. So Gajendra was a king of elephants. So in Chitrakuta, in Mahendrakuta, various places, there are many Gajendras, many elephants. But here, this Gajendra seems like during Satya Yuga. So in heavenly planet, so he was going along with his family, his ministers, his wives, his children, everyone to a lake. So a lake, he obviously took bath and enjoyed very crystal clear water. Correct? Especially, I don't know whether he has done Nirjala Ekadashi, but correct? No water, but suddenly you see a water, okay, very thirst quenching. Then after that, they played around. Then, so during that period, this crocodile catched Gajendra's leg. Gajendra was a very powerful, elephant, the king of all those elephants. So he thought he can just in one shot throw away that, crocodile. Just like some ant comes, what do? Just like this, correct? Easily. You can push it away. Gajendra thought that way, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So he tried to do that, and that went on. The struggle for releasing from crocodile went for 1,000 years. 1,000 years of fighting. And 1,000 years Nirjala Ekadashi only. Cannot drink the water, nobody can give the food from, even those relatives are not throwing some apple or a mango so that Gajendra can catch. Maybe if there were people of Kali Yuga, they would have thrown a banana. What's the so? Correct? They do. Sometime when fighting going on, so they just put fire to the fighting rather than putting the fire down. But they add some masala to it, then the fight will continue more and more. Some party will join this party, some will join other party, that fight will continue. That's what is happening. You see, today, any newspaper you open, you see one fight diminishes, new fight will start. Correct? This fight can happen in a small scale or at the national, international scale. This is going on all the time, in all the yugas, in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, every year you see new wars. going on. Anyway, this Gajendra fought 1000 years with his own energy. He is not able to release himself, nor his wives and relatives or any other persons are able to help him. Then finally he deeply thought, what do I do? Suddenly he realized that only Supreme Lord can protect him, no one. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita we hear that only by Lord mercy we can remember some past events, or remember what we have learned, and able to remember some knowledge, able to remember some verses from Bhagavad Gita. Correct? And then of course, by Lord mercy only you forget. There are many events that we don't want to remember. They are very horrible. They give us pain, give us trouble. Correct? So there are things you want to forget, and there are things that you want to remember. Unfortunately, the things that we want to forget are the one we remember, and the thing that we want to remember, the knowledge that we want to remember, we forget. If I just, although we repeated this verse, so without seeing the board, it's very hard to remember, repeat the whole verse. Maybe we might remember Ghoraya, correct? Namo Shantaya Ghoraya, maybe Ghoraya. Yeah, so we remember some words, but may not be. But here, Gajendra is able to remember. So from his past life, he was a great king, Indradyumna Maharaj, and he performed, devotional service. He was a great bhakta. So he is able to remember, then he started doing prayer. And this is what we call prayers of Gajendra. You can call it the Gajendra Gita, just like we have Gopi Gita, so various Gitas are there. Rudra Gita, Gita of Lord Shiva. So here is Gajendra Gita. Other Gitas were often, pronounced or spoken during maybe separation, or maybe during some teachings to others. But whereas Gajendra is not teaching to others, so he is for own protection, he is glorifying Supreme Lord. Okay? So today's his verse is also a glorification. So this chapter 3, we already, other devotees have already explained the first 11 verses very beautifully. So they all, each of those verses are actually glorification of qualities of Supreme Lord. Every verse very nicely, explains. So how Supreme Lord is everything, and everything rests in Supreme Lord. So that is a really glory. So, and Supreme Lord is the one who is able to create, who is able to maintain, who is able to, of course, annihilate also. So those are the verses. Then, of course, the various, the recent verse talks about how the devotees and sages who are very kind, compassionate, and equal to all living entities. And what do? So they take shelter of Supreme Personality Godhead's lotus feet. So often one devotee always asks, what is the glory of taking shelter of lotus feet of Supreme Lord? The Prabhu, Mahatma Prabhu. And of course it is so durlabha. Mahatmas are so durlabha, very rare. We have only one Mahatma Prabhu in Melbourne. So he always asks that question. And very important question. Actually, it depends upon different devotees. They manifest, they give different answer to pacify, to not pacify, to make him happy, correct? To satisfy the ear of Prabhu. And of course, for all of us, that way they ask question, and so different Maharajas, different devotees give different answer. That way we get variety. Just like Krishna is the Rasa-Raja. Similarly, glorifying Krishna's lotus feet, glorifying Supreme Lord qualities are also full of different rasas and varieties of ways you can explain. And so coming to today's verse, Nama Shantaya Ghoraya Muddaya Guna Dharmini Nirvisheshya Samaya Namo Gnana Gamaya Cha. So if you see all these words, they are essentially today making us to remember various pastimes we heard in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam during last few years. The previous Śrīmad Bhāgavatam cantos and previous chapters and so on. So there is a lot of the previous, the canto 7 was full of narration of Lord Narasimhadev and his devotee Prahlad. And you go further back. So there are many other devotees and Lord's appearance, disappearance, and what did they do. And today's verse is remembering all of them like a summary. So first, Namaha. Namaha, as you all know, paying obeisances. So here, Gajendra is paying obeisance to Shantaya. Now the question is, who is Shantaya? So before we go into Shantayas, so all these various forms of Supreme Lord who have manifested in the material world for protection of devotees, for annihilation of demons, you can broadly say they are Supreme Absolute Truth. Tattvam. In Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in Canto 1, so there is a discussion about this Tattvam, that is Absolute Truth. So this Absolute Truth you can realize from different angle of vision, different features. In Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 11, so there it talks about Brahmeti Parameti Bhagavan iti Shabdate. So various transcendentalists, learned sages, they view Supreme Lord in three different ways. Some view Supreme Lord as Brahman, that is impersonal, effulgence of Supreme Lord, Brahman, that is Brahmeti. And the next is Parameti, that is Super Soul. And the last Supreme is Bhagavan, Bhagavan iti Shabdate. So you can realize absolute truth in three different forms. Okay, or three different features. Usually whenever you attend some transcendental lectures from different sampradayas, different gurus, some of them talk about, merging into impersonal Brahman. Even though they may be speaking Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, they may be speaking Bhagavad Gita, but slowly they drive you towards, merging into Supreme Brahman. And some of them say that, you are also Supreme. Then, once you realize who you are, then you can think yourself as a Supreme God, right? So that is how they slowly teach. And others who are yogis, so they also teach Bhagavatam, they also teach Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but they talk about, realizing Super Soul within our heart. So yogis. Then of course, those who are fully devoted to Lord Vishnu's incarnation, whom we call as bhaktas or devotees, so they talk about Supreme Personality of Godhead, person, God is a person. Okay, so this is how we hear. So especially when they start in the beginning, they seems like everything similar to what we hear in Prabhupada Śrīmad Bhāgavatam translation. But slowly as they go deeper, then you can really see where they are heading you to. Some of them are heading you to, surrendering to impersonal Brahman. Some of them towards Super Soul, Paramatma, and some of them towards Bhagavan, Supreme Lord. So this it's like a partial. Some are realizing partially, some are realizing a bit more higher, some are realizing fully. Okay, full realization of Supreme Personality of Godhead, full Supreme Absolute Truth. So this is what we say, Lord is Satchidananda. As Brahmaji says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So Brahma says, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. This Supreme Lord Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna, so Satchidananda Vigraha. So he has three qualities, Sat Chit Ananda. So the first stage is Sat feature, eternal. That is what impersonal Brahman realization is. Then Chit, that is realization of Supreme, that is Paramatma. That Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda, all three full realization is that realization of Bhagavan. And today's verse we have mention of all those. some devotees who are realizing Sat feature, and some realizing both Sat and Chit. Then, of course, fully those who accepted Lord Vishnu, they are realizing all three, Satchidananda form. So now let's go through each of those. The first one, Nama Shantaya. Nama paying obeisance to Shantaya. So here Prabhupada translated Shantaya as this word Shantaya as Namaha, all obeisance unto He who is above all material qualities and completely peaceful. Shanta means peaceful, correct? Shanta Bhava. Shantaya, who is completely peaceful. Who is completely peaceful? Vasudeva, the super soul in every living entity. So this is emphasizing super soul. So one who resides in all living entities, and he is completely peaceful. Even though Supreme Lord in our heart, we may be bewildered, we may be confused, not peaceful at all. But the Supreme Lord is always peaceful. So just because we are not peaceful, restless, doesn't mean the Supreme Lord is also restless. Only the living entity is restless. Is it clear? Yeah, completely peaceful. Shantaya. And so this Shantaya, where is he? In Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter, verse 61, Lord says, Isvara Sarva Bhutanam. So this Isvara, as super soul, he is living in Sarva Bhutanam. Where is he living in his head? Or is he living in our leg? Where is he living in? So next is Hardayesu Titasti. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he is living in heart of every living entity. It's also important to know. Correct? If super soul is with us, we want to know where he is. Where is he living? So then it Lord also says, Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani. And what is he doing? Sarva Bhutani. In all the living entities, what is he doing? Brahmayan. So he is the one who is directing us. We say man proposes, God disposes. We may have some desires, we want certain thing to happen. So God is the one who will, grant. So here, the Lord who is living within heart, He is directing all the living entities. That's what I say the last statement. Yantarudrani Mayaya. So whatever Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita is, of course, here Gajendra is saying as Shantaya. So Lord who lives in all the living entities, He is completely peaceful, transcendental, beyond these material modes of nature. Even though the living entities is within, controlled by this modes of material nature, but Supreme Lord is behind and He is completely peaceful. Okay? So obviously we can also be peaceful. The Supreme Lord who is within our heart is completely peaceful. And we can also be peaceful when we have complete realization of super soul or Supreme Lord's, who Supreme Lord is, and understanding what are His qualities. As Lord says, Bhoktaram Ignatapasam Sarvaloka Maheswaram. A living entity, if you can consider that Supreme Lord is a Sarvaloka Maheswar, then you will be peaceful. Usually, suppose you have got $1 million in your bank or at home, and if you lose it, if you lose something precious, we become restless. Correct? Especially if you lose a ring, this ring like this. Correct? Only Grahasthas have. Correct? Ring usually here to the brahmacharis, maybe they don't even wear ring also. So when is this ring presented? So when you are getting married, engagement day, maybe your father-in-law will bless you with one ring. Okay, he is binding your finger. What is he representing? He is binding his daughter to your finger, to your body. So responsibility. Okay, so if you lose this ring, some of them are so much attached. Oh, this is representation of my beloved wife or husband, or if you lose it, become restless. But if you say Ishvara, this Sarva Loka Maheshwara, okay, everything belongs to Supreme Lord. If you realize, and even if you lose the ring, you don't worry too much. Correct? So Krishna says, Bhoktaram Ignathasapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Sudram Sarvabhutanam Gnanatam Shantim Rachiti. One who has this knowledge that Bhoktaram Ignathapasam, the beneficiary of all that I do, all my tapas, is Krishna, and He is the Supreme Lord of all the universes. If you have such a knowledge, then you will be peaceful. So therefore, we can also be completely Shantaya, just like Supreme Lord, only when we have this understanding. Correct? So understanding more in depth of Super Soul, Shantaya, who is Shantaya and what are His qualities, who are we and how are we connected to Him. So then with that clear knowledge, then we will be peaceful. Okay? So we also want to achieve complete peace, complete happiness, and we want to become Shantaya, not the Supreme Lord, but we want to be Shanta like Shantaya. We want to be peaceful like Supreme Lord. So that is possible with this knowledge. Okay? And if this knowledge everyone has, obviously the whole world will be peaceful. We would not have all these wars that are continually happening one after other. Correct? In different countries they happen. So it happens in a small scale, big scale. Even in India recently they concluded election. Then immediately after some day they are talking about some fight going on within Kashmir. They said, okay, Kashmir is now very peaceful. We have abrogated some new article. Then as a result, everything peaceful. Suddenly, some fire occurs. Then there will be, fight goes on between different parties. Because everyone is claiming everything. If not, there will be a fight within family. There are Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and various places you will see many stories about how sometime two brothers in a family fight each other and kill each other just for small inch of land. So there are examples, a person having 100 acre of land. He had two sons. Obviously 100 acre of land, what do? Inheritance, you divide that into two. 50 acre land to one son, 50 acre land to another son. But when they divide, sometimes there is a tree in exactly the middle point. What do? Who should own that tree? You can't cut the tree into half. Half for one brother and elder brother, and remaining half for younger brother. No. Sometimes some elders will say, hey, okay, no problem, let's compromise. Let us give this tree to one of the brother. Otherwise, tree will be in problem. Correct? If the tree in the middle, nobody will water the tree. Then tree will get dried. No mango, no apple, nothing. Correct? If the mango tree, so you have to look after the tree also if you want to enjoy the mango. So therefore, they might give it to one of the brother. But this is the unsettled matter. Even though you might say, okay, you can pluck the fruits from this half of the tree, other brother can pluck from other half of the tree. But human nature is greedy. They are not satisfied with the half. Sometimes, as you know, some side of the tree will give very nice harvest, lots of mangoes. Maybe it is exposed towards morning sun, it might ripe more quickly. And the person on the other side will desire, I want to eat that ripened mango. And he will try to pluck from other side. Then this other brother comes and war begins, and sometimes they take axe and cut off each other. So this happened. So you see, so even for this small thing, people fight. So this fighting happening everywhere. Anyway, happening at various level. So that is going on. We can't stop. This is because no understanding that who is the supreme owner of this land. ultimately. So, whereas earth, everybody claims, okay, this piece of land belongs to me. How long they claim? 100 years? After that, somebody will come. The earth will simply laugh at these people. They are simply dividing me into pieces, then claiming themselves. But after some period, none of them are. They are gone. They claim, they fight, then finally gone. So this is always going on everywhere. But those who are having this realization that Sarvaloka Maheshwara is the Supreme Lord, we are just here temporarily on this material world or this earthly planet or in the Australia temporarily. So, whatever is our claim, just be happy with whatever you got. But with greed, it is endless. There is no end to the greed. Even if you own the whole earth, you are not satisfied. Usually we attribute to Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. He says, in this world there is enough for everybody's need, but not sufficient for even one person greed. For your need, for your real requirement, there is sufficient available. Sufficient food available, sufficient land available, sufficient water available, sufficient gold available for your real need. But for your greed, for one person greed, it is not sufficient. Yeah, so this greed is very powerful. This is a, Arishtavarga, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. This, Lobha. Lobha is one of them, greed. So it is not sufficient. Because of the greed, so this war and fight is going on. So they are not peaceful at all. But having this peace formula, that is Bhoktaram Ekdam Sam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Prabhupada often calls it as a peace formula. Then of course, if you have such a knowledge, so you are called Brahma Bhuta. In such knowledge, you are in a state of Brahma Bhuta. When you are Brahma Bhuta, you are Prasanatma. Correct? Happy person. You are a peaceful person and happy person. So you will not worry about anything, loss or gain. Okay? So that is about Shantaya. The next is this Ghoraya. Ghoraya, Supreme Lord who appear in a fierce form. Very fearful. Very, when you see him, very fearful. You may not see such a form. So Ghoraya. So here Prabhupada says Ghoraya. So the forms like Lord Narasimhadev. So Narasimhadev appearance, you have heard in detail in previous canto 7, which is Signs of God. So there Lord Narasimhadev appeared to protect his devotees. So in the purport, Prabhupada says why Lord appears. But anyway, so here appearance of Supreme Lord in the form, in fierce form. He also talked about Jamadagnaya, Jamadagni, Lord Parshuram. So, of course, the Supreme Lord, very, fearsome form. It might be for those who are non-devotees. But for devotees, he is, very nice. For example, Narasimhadev, when Hiranyakashipu saw, he became very powerful, fearful. On the other hand, his son Prahlad, who is very peaceful, very happy to see Supreme Lord. And if you go to that, the room where often Jit Prabhu spends, watching room, there is very nice picture of Narasimhadev, holding Prahlad like this, like a mother holding a child. So if you simply see, you feel so happy, correct? So so this is like, for example, a cat. So cat holding mouse, cat holding that kitten, baby. When the cat is holding this mouse, mouse is very fearful, correct? Is holding only one living entity. The cat is holding one living entity, that is the mouse. Jiva is also holding another jiva, like a small baby cat, kitten. So these baby kittens are very happy. They are not fearful. They know their mother. They have accepted that mother cat. But on the other hand, the mouse has not accepted. Mouse has accepted cat as its enemy. And of course, cat is likely to devour and feast it after Ekadasi. If cat has performed Ekadasi, this Nirjala Ekadasi, obviously it will be a big feast for it, that mouse. But for not when it holding kitten. In the same way, the devotees are considering Supreme Lord and seeking their protection. And they consider Supreme Lord as their well-wisher. So therefore, very happy to see Lord. On the other hand, personalities like Hiranyakashipu's friends, they are very fearful because they don't accept Supreme Lord authority. And they think themselves as the Supreme Lord. Hiranyakashipu, in some of the time, he wanted to be called the Bhagwan Hiranyakashipu. Bhagwan Hiranyakashipu, correct? So if you see some of the movies, they talk about, they even, just like we say Vishnu Sahasranama, they used to do Sahasranama of Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad movies, you see. So their glorification of Hiranyakashipu Murti, So just like we do it for Lord Vishnu Sahasranama. So these they are very fearful when they see Ghoraya. Okay, so this now you can see various forms of Supreme Lord as Parsurama, as Narasimhadev. So various forms they are coming. Obviously, where are they actually? They are in spiritual world. Right now, Narasimhadev may not be here. He there in his Shaligrama Sila form, correct? Those who have not seen Narasimhadev, so in the middle altar, Radha Krishna, in front of them, just right in front of them, you see there Narasimhadev Shaligrama. Correct? Narasimhadev is there in his form as Archa Vigraha. Okay? Because we don't have eyes to see Supreme Lord everywhere. But we can see his Shaligram. So out of his mercy he has appeared, and he looks like Narasimhadev only. The way devotees have decorated him very beautifully, including eyes. You can see eyes also. Sometime if you are not surrendered to Supreme Lord, you might be fearful when you go to do puja of Narasimhadev. But if you are very devoted, chanted 16 Lord very nicely every day, then you feel very pleasure to perform puja of Supreme Lord. You feel very pleasure to see Supreme Lord. You feel very pleasure when you hear Narasimhadev prayer, correct? Otherwise, everything fearful. If you dislike somebody, even if you hear their name, you don't like, correct? If you see their photo, you don't like. If you see their children, you don't like, correct? But if you like them, anything associated with that person, you will like it, correct? If you like somebody, you see their daughter or a son, you like them because you like that person. Correct? If you see his photo, oh, he's my friend. Oh, very nice. When he was age 5, he was like this. I played with him. You feel very pleasure, especially the photos from 20-year-old or 30-year-old, 40-year-old. Correct? But if you dislike them, you don't like to see that. Yeah. So they are there, but they are appearing here as avatar. Whenever they descend, whenever they appear in this material world, we say avatar. The Supreme Lord coming from spiritual world to this material world. Then of course, so here we see Lord Buddha, Gajendra praying to Lord Buddha, Gajendra praying to Dattatreya, various forms of Lord. So there in Shastras we can see various categories of these manifestation avatars. We all know that, like Purusha Avatara, Supreme Lord appearing as Karanodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Chirodaksha Vishnu. So what we call the super soul is Chirodaksha Vishnu. Super soul in every living entity, in every atom is Chirodaksha Vishnu. Super soul within the universe and super soul within the entire cosmic manifestation. There is Karnodaksha Vishnu. He is like a super soul for the entire material world. Then within the material world we have got many, many universes. Someone has to look after. Correct? So direct. So this is where we have got Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then for every living entity we have got Chirodaksha Vishnu, who is directing our wandering. So that is Avatara type. The next is the Leela Avataras. So we here mention a boar. The Lord, he is offering obeisance to Lord appearances in the form of animal. That is boar Avatara. Then of course Guna Avatara. So here also the verse says Guna Dharmini. So Gajendra is paying obeisance to Guna Dharmini. He is also one who has taken various qualities within the material world. We say, Trimurtis. We say Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. So he is offering obeisance to them. The Supreme Lord who has taken such forms, so he is offering obeisance to them. So Gunadhamini. So these are various types of avatars we hear. Then why are these avatars are appearing? So Prabhupada in purport he talks about Lord appears perpetually in material world. So in according to this verse, he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhuyatanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Dharma, righteousness, right duties. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Glanir means whenever there is a decrease in righteousness. And next, Abhudnatanman adharmasya. Whenever there is increase in adharma, decrease of righteousness and increase of adharma, at that time Supreme Lord appears. Tadatmanam srajamiham. So there is appearance, and of course Lord is appearing at different time and place, circumstances. So that means he can take different forms as he wishes. Actually, the Lord may appear in various type of forms. Doesn't mean that one form avatar is less compared to other. They are actually equally powerful, but they only manifest certain feature at certain time. Lord Narasimhadev, for example, so he manifested very powerful feature to devour that demon, Hiranyakashipu. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have other power. He has all. So he is equally powerful as every other, like Lord Krishna, for example. So we don't have to distinguish that way. Anyway, so here coming to Lord taking the form of boar. So that was discussed very nicely earlier as Varahadev appearance. So why did Varahadev appear? Varahadev appeared to protect devotee. For example, to lift Mother Earth to its rightful position. To protect the devotee. Then Vinashaya Duskurta. Yeah. So appearance and so to protect the devotee. So here protection, then of course Vinasya. This Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha the one was causing trouble. So this was also again discussed in previous verses. But usually even the Prabhupada or also in Vedas you see here that Supreme Lord has unlimited forms. Example given here as just like waves in a river or waves in ocean. If you go to and you see these waves, if you start counting these waves, either any limit to it, the waves keep coming. You count, throughout the day, next day the waves are keep appearing, going on, unlimited waves. Correct? Countless, we say, countless waves. Similarly, Lord also can take countless forms. And all the forms are available. Don't assume that this form is just created for a certain purpose and disappear, and destroyed. No, all these forms, Supreme Lord is there. They are there in their Supreme Word, their spiritual word. So usually we hear Dasyavatara. Dasyavatara is something we usually hear, but unlimited forms are there. So Matsyavatara, Kurmavatara, Varaha-avatara, Narsimha-avatara. And in Narsimha-avatara also, Narsimha also can take little different forms also. If you go to Ahabilam, so there you hear 9 or 10, 15, 17 types of Narsimha forms. Yogananda Narsimhadev. There is a temple of Yogananda Narsimhadev in Melkote. It seems that was established by Prahlad Maharaj himself in Melkote. Yogananda Narsimha, Ghora Narsimha, Jala Narsimha. If you go to Ahabilam, there is a temple of Jala Narsimha. Then there is also a main temple called Lakshmi Narsimha. A Narsimha Dev form where Lakshmi Devi is sitting on the dap, so that is Lakshmi Narsimha Dev. Then sometime Narsimha Devi is very, very angry. Jala Narsimha, Ghora Narsimha. So like this various types of Narsimhas are there. So you can go to Ahabilam. Ahabilam is a place where we learn that Lord Narsimhadev appeared there to kill the Hiranyakashipu and protect Prahlad Maharaj. And then if you go around those Andhra Pradesh, even in Karnataka, you see many, many types of Narsimhadev. Some places they call Shanta Narsimha. So it's very peaceful. Other places very fearsome. You go to our Mayapur, so there you might see like Narsimhadev very fearful, right? Correct? So he's opening his mouth and you can see teeth. It can be fearful for some people who have not seen him. Such a form. Yeah. Then of course, Vamandev also appeared. Vamandev. Then Parsuram. So here Prabhupada in the translation, Jamadagni. Jamadagni. So this Parsuram is a Jamadagni, one who is holding axe. So as you all know, Parsuram appeared. So what did he do? So we often say that he went around 21 times around the world and killed all the Kshatriyas, because these rulers, Kshatriyas, were supposed to be rulers of the world, and they have become impious. To an extent that one of the king has killed father of Parsumadeva, Parsuram, because he didn't give him that Surabhika. So therefore he was very angry on all these Kshatriyas. So he went and killed all possible, wherever possible. So he has killed. So it's protecting devotees and then annihilating all these miscreants. So that is Muddaya Guna Dhamini. Then Nirvisheshaya. This Nirvishesha we also, every day when we do Pranam Mantra, Prabhupada, we say. Correct? Nama Om. So we say Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachata Desha Sarani. Pachata Desha Tarani. So he delivered Pachata Desha. From what? Nirvishesha Sunyavadi. From impersonalism and voidism. Correct? So here also Lord appeared, Lord Dattatreya. So here says, I offer my obeisance to form of an animal, that is Lord Varadev, and to Lord Dattatreya, who preached impersonalism. Lord Dattatreya. How many of you heard about Dattatreya name? Dattatreya, okay, very nice. Especially Dattatreya, Lord Dattatreya is very famous in Maharashtra. In Maharashtra there are many temples of Dattatreya. So usually when you see picture of Dattatreya, so they show like 3 heads and 6 horns with 4 dogs and 1 cow. It's a usual picture. So this Dattatreya has preached impersonalism. So this is what Prabhupada says here. And it is true also. So this Dattatreya has appeared. So usually we say, so he has taken So usually people say he's an incarnation of Trinity. So when so it seems the parents, the mother and father of Dattatreya, so they pray to Supreme Lord. So in their dream, the Trinities have appeared, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha appear that we ourselves will take birth as your son. So that is why these three heads represent Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. And sometimes they decorate like that also. One Brahma, one like a Vishnu, other like a Shiva, So the tilak, one will be like a three Nama, like a Shiva, sometime like a Vishnu, like this. So you can see all three in Dattatreya. So the Dattatreya is well known in Maharashtra, in some part of Karnataka. Of course, he is in various places in India also Dattatreya is there, but most prominent in Maharashtra. So when we have these 4 dogs with the Dattatreya, so usually those 4 dogs represent Vedas. So Veda is the source of trustworthy knowledge. So that is the representation. Then of course you see a cow also. So cow representing Mother Earth, who can nourish all the living entities. So Dattatreya is very kind to all the people. But he preached impersonalism. At least he has taken people from atheistic level to accepting the first stage, that is Brahman effulgence form. They are also transcendentalists, correct? Accepting something higher than us as the supreme and force to guide us, to protect us, to maintain us. He actually takes a great humility. So therefore, Dattatreya is worshipped a lot. Then of course, so here we see also another, which is Nirvishesha Samayaya. So here in Samayaya translation, Prabhupada says, Lord Buddha, the form of Nirvana, wherein the material qualities stop. Okay, Nirvana. Usually the Buddha's teachings is, says, okay, this material world full of miseries. So developing detachment from those. Okay? Then obviously what to attach. So attaching something positive. Usually Buddhism talks a lot about morality. So those who are following Buddhist principles, so they are also very nice people. So may not be accepting, just like us, but they do accept Buddha. So Lord Buddha is the incarnation. One of the, in Dashavatara is one of the avatars. So he is the Supreme Lord. So we also pray to Supreme Lord Buddha. And of course, Buddha appearance has a purpose also. So when Buddha appeared at that time, the people in the name of Vedas, they were simply doing animal sacrifice uncontrolled. As we all know, Veda allows animal sacrifice. When you offer a sacrifice to a god, then after sacrifice, that becomes a prasada and they eat. But there are restrictions. Maybe do it once in a year. But the people use these Vedas and sacrifice so much, they become, himsa of animals. So Buddha being very compassionate, so he wanted to, stop that. So therefore he said, okay, we don't accept Veda. So henceforth, so Vedic knowledge also sort of lost. But anyway, Buddha has propagated ahimsa. So that is what he taught. So then of course detachment from worldly matters, sense control. These are the teachings of Buddha. At that time it served very well. It served the purpose. Okay. So that is Buddha's appearance. Samayaya. Then Nama Jnana Ghanaya Cha. So Gajendra is also offering obeisance to this, Jnana Ghanaya. Jnana Ghanaya. So Jnana Ghanaya here, he says, who is knowledge of the impersonal Brahman? So then of course many millions and millions of forms are there. So that unlimited and different purposes. And if you see the protection of different even if you see Krishna's appearance after Ram and Krishna also protected so many devotees, and he also annihilated so many miscreants. Krishna, when he was a small boy, baby boy, he has killed Putana, many demons. Putana came to, visited house of where Krishna is born. So acted like a mother and trying to feed Krishna. Krishna has killed her also, even as a small baby, 3-month-old baby. So Krishna annihilated so many demons. Agasur, Kamsa also, of course. Kamsa, when Krishna became around 15-16. So Kamsa always thinking about killing Krishna. He was not successful. Then he thought, maybe let me fight myself directly. Even then he was not successful. That means he was killed also. Krishna has also killed so many these demons, and also he protected many devotees. And he supported many devotees in establishing dharma. This battle of Kurukshetra, so there to establish dharma again. So he took the side of Pandavas and protected Arjuna. So that is why Arjuna is able to successful. Correct? Yatra Yogeswara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanudara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhute Nitir Matirmam. So when Krishna was with Arjuna, Arjuna was able to fight Timingalas, such as Karna, Bhisma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya. These all are like Timingalas in the ocean. You go to ocean, there are small fishes and there are Timingala sharks. Correct? The small fish, Arjuna is like a small baby fish. Where this Karna, Dronacharya, all of them are very fiercey like Timangalas, very strong. But Arjuna was able to defeat. How? Because Krishna was with him. Yatra Yogeswara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanudara, Tatra Sri Vijayo. Vijayo is victory. So Krishna, Arjuna was able to become victorious because of that only. So therefore, having Lord with us, we can also be, successful. So these all are various forms of Lord as impersonal Brahman, as super soul, as Bhagavan himself are described in this verse. And then by hearing such glories, what is the benefit for us? Okay, we heard all of this. What is the benefit? That is also told. He says, one who knows Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So Krishna says, one who knows my appearance and disappearance, such a person, at the end of life, he will come back to me. Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Yom Yovati Tatvataha. So Krishna says, so Punarjanma Nati Mam Iti So Arjuna. He says, those who heard this appearance of Supreme Lord, manifestation, and such persons, they will not take birth again in this material world. After leaving this body, in this life, go back to abode of Supreme Lord. Correct? So this is a benefit. Okay? So, Prayojana. So the Prayojana pertaining to today's class is that all those who have heard and remember some of the names that are mentioned in this verse, and some of the names are mentioned in the purport that we discussed. So by hearing again and again, just remembering again and again, so you will, Manmana Mad Bhakta. So always remembering Supreme Lord. Just by simply remembering this verse, Gajendra Gita, only one verse, you can make your life successful, which is also assured by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So with that, let me stop here. So thank you very much. Thank you all for hearing patiently. So there was one question ready-made. So we should definitely answer at least one question. Prabhu, you mentioned how Brahman is Sat, Paramatma is Satchid, and Bhagavan is Satchidananda. But we also hear that Super Soul Paramatma inside the heart is always happy. So how come Paramatma is not Satchidananda? Okay. Paramatma is definitely happy. He is the Supreme Lord. So as we discussed, there is no difference between different avatars. You might say, oh, this avatar, super soul. We said the yogis are trying to realize Sat Chit feature. That's all. But not Ananda feature. Because usually yogis are performing very fiercey, ghora tapas. If you see yogis, some of them may be just simply sitting on ice. Imagine this is ice block. Sitting on this ice block for 100 years. In already cold, but on top of it, in Himalayas, ice block sitting there. No, may not be sitting, sometimes standing on one leg and doing tapas for 20 years, 30 years. And what is their goal? Their goal is to realize super soul. That doesn't mean that super soul is not Ananda. Super soul is Satchidananda. But what they realize is only those two features. Okay? So super soul is Satchidananda. Every form of Supreme Lord, whether it is Dattatreya, or Varadev, or Matsya, or a Kurma, or a Vamana, or Kalki, or all of these forms of Supreme Lord, Hamsa, Prithu Maharaj, all of them are actually Satchidananda. But the person who try to realize, that person realizes only Sat and Chit. Correct? Or the person who only sees God as only Brahman, he realizes only Sat feature. But the devotee realizes Krishna is not a God who will ask you to do Nirjala Ekadasi every day. He says, no, just one day and other day enjoy the feast. If you can't do it, no problem. You can enjoy feast also. He will give you feast that day also. Correct? Yesterday many devotees had. Even I also had some juice and little thing once. Correct? So instead of having 3 times, you just have only 1 time. Okay? Some austerity is performed. Okay? It is up to us. So just like this Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is read by all class of transcendentalists. Some people realize by reading Bhagavad Gita, they think God is impersonal. The same Bhagavad Gita is read by others. Oh, God is personal. The same Bhagavad Gita is read by some others. There is, oh, this is, God is super soul. Correct? So, same Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavad Gita. So, the avatar of God is Lord Vishnu Avatara. They all are equal. You can't say this avatar is very less compared to other one. Correct? They all are equal. But they exhibit those qualities based on our angle of vision. Correct? Narasimhadev was very fearsome for Hiranyakashipu. The same Narasimhadev was very peaceful, very happy, very pleasure for Prahlad. Correct? So it is ours. So the yogis who are trying to realize Paramatma in their heart, so they only realize Sat and Chit feature. The Jnanis, which we call impersonal Brahman, so in the beginning they only realize Sat feature. But as they progress deeper and deeper and deeper, one day they will become Bhaktas. They will become Bhaktas. Even 4 Kumaras were Jnanis. When they appeared in Vaikuntha Loka with their Jnana, they were still Jnanis only, impersonalist. But when they took darshan of Lord Vishnu, then they smelled Tulsi from his lotus feet, then they become devotees. Janaka Maharaj was impersonalist. Janaka Maharaj is one of the Mahajanas. Correct? He was impersonalist. But when he saw the beautiful form of Lord Rama, he became so much of attracted, then he became a Bhakta. Correct? Even Shankaracharya, we say, impersonalist. But that Shankaracharya purpose was to establish, Vedas. He did. Then at the end he says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamate. Samprapte sanite kale nai nai riktidi dukkran karane. He says, Becoming this Sanskrit scholar will not save you at the end of life. What can save you? Bhaja Govindam. So, in the beginning, they may exhibit these qualities, but as they go deeper and deeper and deeper, that jnana, when they mature, it becomes, he or she becomes devotee. Okay, then they can see Sat Chit Ananda feature, complete. Yeah, this is like a primary school, high school, then the university. As we progress, we realize better. Yeah, so this realization of Bhagavan feature, Satchidananda, is the highest realization. Others are partial realization. And they are correct actually. Supreme Lord is correct, impersonal. So He is Super Soul and He is Bhagavan also. Depending upon our angle of vision, so we see that way. I hope this answers. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Sharp 9 o'clock, time for prasada. Please break your Nirjala Ekadashi. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki